Shalom and good day, this is Tehillim29 back again for another indie comic review, and in this indie comic review I'll be covering Gargoyles and Ambassadors. I'll now get things prepared for the first one that will be reviewed on the channel. So to start things off, we'll be beginning with Gargoyles issue 5 through Dynamite Comics. And beginning off with first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7.5 for the or 7.5 out of 10 for the art. Now it's time to move into the internal art, which we'll have a look around the beginning, middle and end, and also what's happening story-wise. So as the story begins, we start off with the character of Hudson, and he ends up meeting someone, part of a gargoyle task force in the NYPD in Manhattan, and he learns a little bit more about him, and with that, because they have learned of the capture of Goliath, he might be able to help them recover Goliath. As things advance around the middle of the story, we learn that there are two particular groups, one after each other. One is Sanchez and the other one is Choi, and they sort of like play a part in regards to sort of like the mafia, or the one's connected to the mafia, one's connected to another group. We also learn of what is happening with the other gargoyles in this time period. And as we draw close to the end, we now work to recovering Goliath, and also plans set in place with Hudson, who is also another gargoyle. For the internal art, I give this a 7.5. Now it's time to move to the story rating. First things first, did we get anything time related? No, we didn't. The next area we need to cover is the location, to which we know is in Manhattan. The cast of characters that showed up in this story were Hudson, Matt Bluestone. We also had Goliath. We had Eliza, Katana, Brooklyn, Nash, Mia, of course Choi and the other one. We also had Coldfire and Coldstone. For the overall story rating in this, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the Ambassadors, issue 3 by Mark Millar. So as we jump into issue 3 of the Ambassadors, first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect with anything that is happening inside of the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal art as we look around the beginning, middle and end, and also some of the things that are happening story-wise. So as this story begins, it follows our new characters who are in Paris, France, and we learn about one of the characters who doesn't quite like these new superheroes so much, but his mum is trying to help him get out of the negative mindset. As the story advances, they learn that they have actually been chosen to become heroes for France itself, and one takes up the name of Paris, one France. We learn that the kid's name is Jean-Luc, and his father sort of like chose the name for him because he was a bit of an idol. And as we jump towards the end, we end up catching up with one of the previous characters from one of the previous issues, wanting to find out what they know. I must say, for the internal art in this, I enjoyed it quite a lot, and I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the story rating. The first area that we will cover is the area of time. So did we get anything time-wise? No, we didn't. Moving to the next location of some of the events that happen in some of these locations. We had Paris, we had South Korea and the embassy. And we also had Paint des Arts in France. So I think that was meant to be a bit of a port of something. It wasn't very clear. Would have been nice to know its translation in the English. It would have actually helped the reader a little bit more. Apart from that, moving into the cast of characters, we had Jean-Luc, who played Paris, and we also had the person who played France, and it would have been nice to know more name-wise. It did lack in that, but where it lacked in that, it did make up in other places. We also had Vera Bennett. For the story rating in this, I gave a 7.5 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.